remember, I was like obsessed with the violin. My dad and I used to make like cardboard cutouts of violins when I was a really little kid and like pretend to play them. But they held out and they made me wait until I was 8 before they got me an actual violin. My kid is 3.5 and she is hilarious and irritating and awesome.
You don't know what letter says car.
Hey!
Well, what else? K and C both say car.
She thinks she's gonna play the violin, so I got her a little tiny one off of Amazon. It's like this big. And she runs around and like tries to play it and it sounds horrible.
That's for Mama.
Is that for Mama? When she and I met years ago, she had a very liberal attitude towards everyone, and I had the opposite political views.
I started street performing downtown in Orlando a couple months ago, and I started to see kind of the same faces every day, the faces of the homeless. And the one thing that always got me is when they would just sit and they would just listen to me play. And they would chit chat with me a little bit. And like the one thing that really stood out was the one time I was talking with this guy and he was just like, the best part of my day is just when anybody talks to me. And I was like, wow, that's just something I hadn't really thought about before. You must just get overlooked constantly. People, you know, at the least are ignoring you and at the worst abusing you.
When I was, say, 10 years younger than I am now, I worked in a corporate job and I wore a suit to work. I really I looked down on people that were begging on the streets.
I started to kind of reach out and just get to know the homeless community. A lot of them already know how to do something, like play a guitar or play something, the harmonica, but they don't have one, right? Because they don't have anywhere to put it. So I started kind of coming up with this idea to start sort of like a lending library type thing downtown, where homeless people can come and like check out an instrument and go street perform and make some money. And then when they bring it back in reward for not stealing it, they would get a meal.
I thought they would steal from us, for sure. I thought there was no doubt about it. But she convinced me, and I came down a few times and got to talking to some of the people that, you know, they say homeless, I say just don't have a house. They didn't have the same safety net that I had. And that's what it took me realizing, was that the only thing separating me from someone that's eating out of a trash can and begging for money is the fact that they didn't have a family that was willing to support them.
If they have a sign that's like, I'm hungry or whatever, you're like, all right, well maybe I'll throw them some change. But, you know, if they're like rocking it on the guitar, you're gonna be like, yeah, and throw like $1 in, you know what I mean? And then if they're bringing it back and they get a meal in exchange, then they don't have to spend all that money right away on food and they can save and repeat the process.
I rest assured that Sasha does have the utmost pure intentions, the purest of intentions. So as long as I put my faith in her instead of what it is that we're doing, I think that it'll work out okay. I have to have my faith in her and not myself, basically. She's awesome. That's it. That's what I have to say.
I just can't wait to see like what comes of it. I think in the end it's going to bring more culture to Orlando. The idea is just to kind of replace begging with street performing.